Hey guys, this is Pem. Yep, that's my face. You're seeing it now. You can't help but see it. Sorry. Um, yeah, so this is where I do my recording. I'm sorry, I'm trying really hard not to look at my own face right now, but it's so distracting. Um, this is the fire trap. I'm gonna see if I can give you guys a little bit of a view here. Bed and bare walls. Yes, I know. It's so exciting. That's me again. That's the dresser. And over there behind the curtains, my hand out of the way, are French doors leading out of here. We don't just have curtains on the walls for no reason. I know that the room is kind of lame. The walls are really bare, but you know, we moved into this particular house again. I'm living with my future in-laws. We moved in here expecting to only be here for about 6 months or so, and it's been 6 months. We haven't moved out yet, so we didn't bother hanging anything on the walls, any artwork or anything like that, mirrors, stuff like that. So it's pretty bare bones, but we're fine. We're living down here. You may notice there's no windows. That's because we're in the basement, and actually there's no second exit out of this room either. It's just, excuse me, just the French doors. Hence why I call it the fire trap. Because if there were a fire in this room, we would die. Yeah, so I'm using the microphone that came with the HD webcam that I got. I'm not thrilled about it. I don't like it. I'd like to use the microphone on my headset right here. But I haven't figured out how to do that and record the video at the same time. This recording software is kind of crap, and I didn't think to look ahead of time at other options. So we're stuck with this. I apologize for the crappy sound, you guys. But anyway, let me show you what I deal with here. Oh, I guess I can just take this off. It's gonna be a little shaky. Sorry. So here's the. Whoa. There you go. This is it. This is the desk. Keyboard, mouse, drinks. So I got some wine over there, some water. I've got. I don't always drink wine. I only drink wine like some of the time. I don't always drink it. iPad here for checking, you know, things that I don't want to have to tab out of the game just to verify. I've got. Oh, that's a check. Another check. This is. Herodotus, ooh, where is it? There it is. You probably can't see it, it's kind of dim. Herodotus, and it's not focusing. Focus, you thing. I forget it. Herodotus Histories for the Skyrim LP, and then this is actually, that's a lot of pages, but that's notes and console commands and things for Skyrim. And I know it sounds kind of like I have notes. What the hell? Why do you have notes? But, oh, I don't like that. Sorry. I'm probably putting my thumb right over the mic too, and you're hearing that. Yeah, I actually have notes because of the quests that I wrote for Anag's backstory, and I just keep them in front of me so that I know where things are, that I don't accidentally bump into them when I don't plan to, that kind of thing. So anyway, so now you've seen me, and you can't unsee me, and you've also seen where I work, so you have a pretty good idea of what I'm working with here. But that said, let me get to the question. So this is from Patrick Reisbeck, and he says, "Congratulations for 1,000 subs. As you mentioned in your last Q&A, nobody asked about a photo of you, the man behind the scenes. So herewith, I question it. No problem if you don't want to show one, but I'm interested in if my picture in my mind, try that again. No problem if you don't want to show one, but I'm interested if my picture in mind behind the voice speaking quite daily to me matches you in reality." So yeah, here you go. You decide if it matches or not. Second question: what's your future plan? Oh God, what's your plan? I've been drinking for a while, you guys. I'm sorry. What's your plan for future LPs? Will it stay on Skyrim and Civilization, or do you think of getting another Let's Play on the run? Third one: will you stream at any time at Twitch or other streaming channels? Keep up the good work. Your first question was about the showing my face. Well, here you go. Second question: plan for future LPs. Yeah, I'm going to stay with just two right now. One role-playing game and one strategy game. So right now the role-playing game is obviously Skyrim, the strategy game is obviously Civ 5, and that's how it's going to be until one or the other of those ends. I imagine Civ 5 will probably end first, just because I think that's probably going to take less time, and almost certainly will take less time, and I'm uploading longer episodes of it, so Civ 5 will probably end first, at which point I'll have to find another strategy game to replace it. When Skyrim ends, I don't know what I'm going to do for an RPG, but I have a few things in mind. I think by the time it ends, I'll have a couple other games that'll have been released that I'm waiting on. So, yeah, one strategy, one RPG. If I do more than that, I guarantee you it'll be too much, and I'll start to burn out, and that'll be the end of that. So I don't want to do that. So I'm going to keep it simple and just do two. And the one will be a regular update like Skyrim is, and then one will be a semi-regular update like Civ 5 is, with just one a week right now. And that's, I think, how I'm going to keep it. Third question, will you stream at any time at Twitch or other streaming channels? Yeah, maybe. I'd like to. I'd really like to stream. But I have a family and kids, and it's kind of hard to find the time where you can just sit for 3 hours or so and do nothing but stream. And that's not a critique of people who do stream regularly. Not to say that they don't have other things they could be doing with their time. I know that you know. Should drop it. Where was I? Sorry. Streaming. Oh yeah, I'd like to stream, but again, hard to find the time. I imagine that someday in the future I will have the time to stream. It'll probably be one of those things where, like, the day before, I'm like, holy crap, the kids are out of town. I didn't realize it till today that they're going to be gone for the next 24 hours. Shit, stream, quick, everybody, like, rally. I don't know. So, you know, I've still got a relatively small number of subscribers compared to the other LPers that I've seen stream, and they usually have, you know, the percentage of people who subscribe to them and that show up for the stream is pretty small. So with 1,000 subscribers, I imagine that the audience for a stream would still be pretty small. Certainly less than 100, I'm guessing. Maybe less than 50, which I'm fine with. That's totally fine. But, yeah, I guess what I'm saying is there's not a ton of demand, and it is complicated by the fact that since I probably won't know that I have the opportunity to stream until shortly before it's going to happen, it'll be difficult to get word out before I'm going to do it and that kind of thing. But that said, yes, I would like to, and I will look into doing it sometime in the future. Again, don't hold your breath. Won't be anytime soon, I don't think. But I would really like to do it. So thank you, Patrick, for that. SoulKiss1 says, congratulations, Pem. I second Patrick Reisbeck's request for a look at the man behind the voice. You said nobody asked for it in the last Q&A, so I want to make sure you see that we're interested. Also, you mentioned you lived in Chicago. How would you say your time there compares to life in Minneapolis? Chicago's great. Wonderful city to live in if you don't mind a 6-month-long winter, which Minneapolis has the same thing. A little bit colder, a little more intense in Minneapolis. Much more snow, much darker. And by a little bit colder, I mean like 10 degrees on average, so actually quite a bit colder over the long haul. You notice it hurts a little bit. Yeah, I'll talk about Chicago first. Chicago's a great place to live if you don't have kids, or if you have a lot of money. If you only have one or the other, or I'll say this, if you do have kids or you don't have a lot of money, it's a little bit harder to get by. It's tough with kids because it is crowded and busy. There's a lot of traffic. There's a lot of noise. It's doable. It's certainly doable. You know, we had 2 kids there for 6 years. Well, we had 1 kid there for 4 years, and we had 2 kids there for 2 years. So it's manageable. We pulled it off, but it's still kind of hard, and it's expensive. It's expensive to live there. So if you don't have a steady and not plentiful, but if you don't have a steady and pretty good income, it's gonna be kind of tight. Especially if you do have kids, then it's gonna be really tight. That said, I miss Chicago a lot. It feels like my city. You know, I lived there for 13 years, which is less than I lived in St. Louis growing up, but uh, it felt like it felt like home by the time I left there. It felt like my city. So yeah, I do miss it, and I would gladly go back for visits, certainly to visit friends and things like that. But even if if I you know years from now my kids were graduated from high school and moved off on their own or something like that, if it worked out, yeah, I'd consider moving back to Chicago. It's a great city. Twin Cities are nice. They're really nice. Big. Not big in terms of the city size, but just in terms of the metro area. It's just large. There's a lot to drive, a lot of driving, a lot of highways. It's clean. Minneapolis specifically. I don't know much about St. Paul. I've only been over there once. Minneapolis is clean. Really pretty city. Very, not very small, but manageably sized. It's not gigantic like Chicago where you have to walk for a mile just to get from one end of the financial district to the other. Minneapolis, you could cross the entire downtown area in half an hour, which is kind of nice. Lots of public transportation, which is nice. Coming from Chicago, that's you don't have to adjust too much. Very bike friendly, a fairly liberal city, very gay friendly. The state of Minnesota, though, is still pretty, and Minneapolis and the suburbs generally, still much more churchy than I expected, which is kind of a bummer. By churchy, I just mean like, I don't know, there's just, people are more vocal about their religious beliefs than they were in Chicago, which is, it's not a bad thing. It's just a change. It's just a change, that's all. Although it does get kind of annoying sometimes. Like, for instance, state law in Minnesota says that you cannot buy alcohol on a Sunday. The whole day. You can't. Yeah. So you have Monday off. You wake up Sunday, you're like, yeah, we should get some wine. We should sit down, watch a movie tonight. Nope, can't do it. Unless you have wine in the house, you're screwed. You can't buy any liquor on a Sunday. It's like, man, what year are we living in? Like, yeah. Anyway, Minneapolis overall, positive thing. It's a positive thing that we moved here. Better for our family, better for our finances. Still miss Chicago though. We can't help but miss it. That's just the way it is. So anyway, those were the two questions that had to deal with seeing my face, so I wanted to answer them on camera for you. And that said, I'm going to give it back to myself in Oblivion, and we'll finish this thing up. Thank you, everyone. Back to you.
And we return. And wasn't that man a handsome devil? The next question is from Rune Fisher, who says, would you consider a Morrowind Let's Play? And congrats. Thanks, Rune Fisher. Yes, I would consider a Morrowind Let's Play if I can get the music bug to quit crashing on me. Don't know what that's about. Yes, I would consider a Morrowind Let's Play in the future. The distant future, probably. I think in my 500 subscribers Q&A I went through some games that I'd like to Let's Play, and I guarantee you there will be a break between Skyrim and the next Elder Scrolls game that I LP, and it will probably be, I would say the next one that I LP will probably be Oblivion, so Morrowind would come after that, and there will be a break between Oblivion and Morrowind too, and then of course there's the other Skyrim LP that I talked about doing, which is, so I don't even know where that figures in. This is all just, like, I'm flying by the seat of my pants here, guys. I don't know what I'm going to do 1 minute to the next. Morrowind Let's Play? Yeah, sure. I'd love a Morrowind Let's Play. Am I going to do it within, my lifetime? Well, I hope so. But I couldn't give you a date. The next question is from Krista C., who actually submitted 2 comments with several different questions here. She says, oh, excuse me one moment. More wine. She says, she didn't say that. I did that. She says, hello, Pem. I've been loving both of your recent LPs so much. So my question is, as a woman, I enjoyed hearing a bit of your thoughts nearing quote-unquote feminist nerd territory, and was wondering which games you've played that you felt did the best with female characters. I'm still feeling fairly new to video games, but BioWare and its ladies have by far been my favorite. congrats on the 1,000. And then later she commented, I thought I'd offer up 2 other questions in case you didn't feel comfortable or interested in answering that one. So, what has been one of your most victorious gaming moments? Not necessarily something epic, just made you super excited or have achieved, or perhaps watched someone else achieve. Other question. Do you listen to any podcasts? Okay, that's it. Feel free to pick one or none of these. I pick all of them. First, feminist nerd. Yeah, I would call myself a feminist nerd. Which games I've played that I feel I did the best? That I did. No, feel that the developers did the best with female characters. I probably tend to agree with you that BioWare has done the best female characters. But I would maybe say that that's damning with faint praise. The game that comes to mind is the Mass Effect series, right? A lot of female characters in that one. But the female characters in your party, well, first off, despite them writing pretty good female characters, they all still wear ridiculous outfits, right? Well, maybe not all, but many of them. You know, think of Jack's tit belt in Mass Effect, that's all you can call it. Like I hate that word, but you can't call it anything else. That's what it was. Or Miranda's, repeated ass shots. It is what it is. It's video games. It's for teenage boys. But that said, outside of the visuals, BioWare's done a pretty good job with their female characters. I do criticize them a bit, especially in Mass Effect 2. The female characters on your crew, every one of them had daddy issues. And Jacob had daddy issues too. And I was going to say Rex, but not Rex. Grunt kind of had daddy issues. Daddy issues was kind of an overused thing with characters in Mass Effect 2, actually, now that I think about it. But yeah, it kind of bothered me that the 3 main love interests, Tali, Jack, and Miranda, all had issues with their fathers as their... No, Jack didn't. Well, Jack kind of... Okay, I guess Jack didn't really have daddy issues. She had issues with... she didn't have a dad. She had issues with the Elusive Man and Cerberus, which I guess I don't know. You could make the argument that represents her father. I don't know. Well, whatever. I'm not going to get too much into it. But it kind of bothered me that there were so many daddy issue quests in Mass Effect 2, specifically with the female characters, because it just seemed like, okay, that's just like a stale thing. Like, it seemed like female characters in relation to other male characters. That's how they're so often portrayed, Am I gonna see anything but fog? Like, what the hell? This is like the most boring landscape. This is like MechWarrior 2. Like, what the hell am I looking at here? Alright, forget it. I'll just hope the sun burns it off. It's BioWare's done a good job. Dragon Age has some good female characters. It's nice to have female characters that aren't just there for eye candy. That said, though, BioWare still does the skimpy outfits in Dragon Age, in Mass Effect. The only, Liara wears a decent outfit. She wears like an actual outfit that a woman might wear. Tali wears it, but Tali's kind of like a Muslim almost. She's almost wearing a burqa when it comes to her. But that's not for religious reasons, but for health and safety reasons. But yeah, Miranda and Jack, it's just like, what are they wearing? What the hell are they wearing? I don't want to get too much into it, but yeah, I would say BioWare may be the best, but again, I've not played a lot of games. I don't want to be unfair. I've not played a lot of games. There are probably very good games out there that have very well developed female characters that aren't dependent on male characters for their story or their personality or something like that. I'm sure that they exist. I've not encountered many of them, and I don't know that I could list. I will say this, actually, in Mass Effect, the most interesting female characters, and the ones that I would say actually are the best ones, are the ones that aren't in the main story. I'm thinking of, for example, oh god, I had a list in my head, now I can't think of them. The woman in Mass Effect 1 on... Shit. What's the snow planet? The woman who is like the almost like the spy or like the FBI investigator who's investigating the Solarian like overseer of that science facility, and she like busts him. I can't remember her name, and I can't even remember the name of the planet. Novaria? Is that it? Novaria? She was an interesting character, and I'd like to know more about her. Excuse me. Or the Asari matriarch who works in the bar in, I think, Mass Effect 2, who's like talking about, you know, like her wife having died and her kids growing up and kind of being rebellious and young, and she's like, well, yeah, I was rebellious and young once too. And she was an interesting character, and she was a well done female character. The Asari who is dating, and I think, again in Mass Effect 2, the Asari who is dating the Krogan, and he's reading her like love poetry, and she's like, I don't know what to do, and you can convince her to go with him, or you can convince her to dump him. She was an interesting, like, I would like to find out more about her and her relationship. Like, that'd be more interesting. Those are all like interesting little stories about female characters in that game that are, to me, much more intriguing than and more and offer more opportunity, I think, for development than the stories revolving around the main crew members that you have in those games. I don't know, it just seemed like Liara's she's a good female character, I think. She's not overly sexualized. She exists independent of males. Maybe that's just because of her species, you know, Asari are all female. Tali is, I would say, she's probably the next best female character in that game. Although, again, Mass Effect 2, she's very daddy-centric. So yeah, I agree with you, BioWare. There are some interesting female characters in the Elder Scrolls, too. I'd say more so in the literature. Baron Zaya is an interesting character. I like her. Potema is an interesting character. I really like her, too. She and Baron Zaya are probably the best developed female characters in the Elder Scrolls. And they're almost exclusively in the literature. You know, Potema appears in a quest in Skyrim, and Baron Zaya, I think, makes a few appearances in Daggerfall Arena? I can't remember which. I think she makes an appearance in Morrowind. Am I right about that? Almost like a cameo appearance, maybe. I can't remember. Sorry, guys. It's been a while since I've read any of this or kept up on any. But yeah, the real Baron Zaya and the biography of Baron Zaya, and then the Wolf Queen, and there's another version of Potema's story too in the literature. I can't remember what it's called, but yeah, those are all really good stories, and they have really well developed female characters, I think. So yeah, don't count if you haven't, Krista. If you haven't read those stories, check them out. They're really good in the Elder Scrolls, I mean. But yes, generally I agree with you. BioWare seems to do the best, although I think that they could do better, generally speaking. Other questions, in case I wasn't comfortable with those. Well, obviously I was. What has been one of my most victorious gaming moments? Yeah, this is a tough one. I can't remember. The one that stands out is in the PlayStation game called Killzone, which was a PlayStation 2 game. I'm talking about the very first one. I think Killzone 3 is coming out now, or the equivalent of Killzone 3 is coming out now. Maybe it's 4. I think it's 3, though. But in the original Killzone, my roommates and I would play team deathmatch on the multiplayer maps, and we'd each play for like 20 minutes. Two of us would play for 20 minutes and then hand off the controller to another guy and play for 20 minutes. And it was always a contest of who could get the most kills, obviously. And whoever got the most kills got to keep the controller. Whoever lost, because you could, in Killzone, you could only play 2-player multiplayer. You couldn't play 4 like in Halo. I think Halo played 4, right, guys? Seriously, it's all fog. This is crazy. I've never seen this much fog. Anyway, yeah, so it was 2-player multiplayer. So it was the loser handed off the controller, the winner got to keep it. So you could be the champion, and you could, if you were on a particularly strong run, you could keep playing for hours. But anyway, so we always had a challenge to who could get the most kills. Well, anyway, there was one day where I was just in a freaking zone, and in a 20-minute team deathmatch session, I got 68 kills, which was the record. I think the previous record was like 61, so I blew that one out of the water by quite a bit. And we took a screenshot of it and everything. I think I actually still have it saved on my computer somewhere. But yeah, that was probably my high point. That's more than 3 kills a minute. It's snowing now. Jesus. Alright, whatever. I wish Morrowind would have worked out. That would have been more fun. Yeah, more than 3 kills a minute in a 20-minute deathmatch. That's pretty intense. That was a really intense gaming session, and it was awesome too. If you are playing Killzone, the grenade launcher is the weapon to get, because that's a one-hit kill, and once you get used to it, man, you could, like, we play for, at that point we had been playing the game for like a couple weeks, maybe a couple months, and grenade launcher was like second nature. You could just look and point, and you knew exactly where it was going, and we were just wasting. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Killzone I thought Killzone was a fun game. I know it doesn't get as much love as Halo or the other games, but I had fun with it. Other question: do you listen to any podcasts? Yes, I do. Yes. It's the 2 podcasts that I recommend the most are both by a man named Dan Carlin, who I'm guessing some of you know of because he's a pretty popular podcaster. He does a political podcast called Common Sense on American politics, and he does a history podcast called Hardcore History about world history, usually ancient world history, but it can be more recent too. And he does a fantastic job. His background is in journalism, newspaper. I think he did some television journalism, and he did maybe not television. I know he did newspaper, and he did radio journalism. He had a radio show for a while, but podcasting has been his forte. Like, he's an excellent podcaster, and his shows are phenomenal. I highly recommend them. For a while, I listened to Mark Maron's comedy podcast WTF. I haven't listened that much lately because I just don't have the time, but I really enjoyed it. And then the Elder Lore podcast, of course, for Elder Scrolls lore, essentially. Again, that's where the Wanderer mod comes from in my Skyrim LP. Can't recommend it enough. Look up Elder Lore podcast if you want, if you're interested. And then, actually, a quick little plug. Before I started LPing, I listened to Please Select Your Podcast. That was done by, I think, Kriana, Inferno, Canuck, Squee, and Piff Zero, I believe. They did, at the time that I listened to it, it was 7 parts. Maybe they've done more parts since then, but very helpful. A lot of good advice. I got started off, I think, on the right foot, in large part because they saved me about a month of fumbling through mistakes and screwing things up by doing that podcast. So that was really useful, and I thank them a lot for doing that. And I recommend it to anybody who's thinking about LPing. Please select your podcast, again, if you're interested. Scruffle38 says, oh, and this is the last question too, is it? Is it? It is. Oh, we're almost done, you guys. Scruffle38 says, hey, Pem, what is your view of religion? Oh, ho, ho, ho. And what is your political ideology, if you have one? Excuse me. If this gets too personal, I get it, no problem. Backup question. Since you are American, where are you descended from? I don't mind talking about this. I don't know that maybe some listeners won't care to hear this, so that's why I'm putting this question last. If you don't care to hear this, politics or religion, then feel free to just stop the video. You won't miss anything except another thank you for being an audience member. But yeah, to get to it, no, I have no religious affiliation. I'm a heathen non-believer. if you had to label me, I guess you'd call me an atheist. I don't really like the term atheist, and that's for a couple different. I don't like it for how religious people view it, and I don't like it for how atheists view it actually either. I feel like a lot of the atheist versus religious thing is kind of a tribalism thing. I know that's not true of all atheists, but a lot of atheists, or at least many, I think, especially on the internet, are very interested, I think, in keeping score, in tallying who's an atheist and who's not, who's a religious person, and are they on our team or are they on their team? And I just don't like feeling like you have to. Just, I don't know. It bothers me, the side taking, the team mentality. It just bothers me. One of my favorite writers is Sam Harris, who, if any of you are atheists, you'll know who that is. And he got up one time a few years ago at some atheist convention and gave a short lecture on how he thought that we should get rid of the term atheist. Non-believers should get rid of the term atheist because he felt like it puts atheists at a argumentative disadvantage because there's so much baggage with the term atheist. And I remember hearing an interview after that talk with two young, college-ish, 20-something atheists afterwards, and the interview asked these two students, I say they're students, I'm sorry, I don't know that they were students, but they were young. He said, what did you think about Sam recommending that we ditch the term atheist? And they both were upset with it. But they were upset with it because to them it was like an identity. They were saying like, oh, this is part of who we are. Like, this is an identity. We can't get rid of this term. Like, this is how we identify ourselves and how we signify our group and everything. And that when I heard that, I was like, that's exactly what I'm talking about. And I agree with Harris. I don't like the term. I think it should be ditched. Not because of like fear of how religious people view it, but I just don't like the way that atheists tend to. Again, not all. I know I'm generalizing here. But many of them tend to like grab it as an identity and say, I'm an atheist. And it's like, no, you're not. You're just you don't elect to be an atheist. The atheist is opting out of everything else, right? And I just don't like when people treat it as an election. Like you actually choose to accept atheism as your worldview. It's not that way. And I think that that's kind of how it's viewed as like an active thing. When it's not. It's an absence of an active thing. So I just don't like the term. If people ask, I just say, "Oh, I don't believe. I don't practice. I have no affiliation." What's my view of religion? Yeah, I am a non-believer for a few different. Well, I'm a non-believer for anti-religious reasons, which I won't get into because I don't want to. If I have any religious viewers, I don't mean to. I don't want to offend anybody, which I know is very easy to do when you're talking about religion. My girlfriend, who I've been with now for 8 years, is religious. She is a Christian, although she's moved since we've met. She's moved from full-on Christian to kind of a pseudo-Christian / deism kind of thing, where Jesus still holds a place of reverence for her, but she's kind of more so in the I could see how the universe doesn't. This is I'm putting words in her mouth here, but this is kind of how I feel she feels about it. How I gather she feels about it. That she could see how the universe maybe doesn't involve God as much as she used to think that it does. So I mean, I don't mean to. The reason I say that is because I want you guys to understand that I have experience. I have with religious people, with Christians specifically. I have Christian people in my life still. I haven't ostracized anybody or offended anybody or pissed anybody off to the point where they don't want to be around me anymore. So that's not something I'm seeking to do here. But yeah, generally I think religious thinking is faulty, and I think it's harmful. Just kind of in a like, I don't know, I can't think of the right words, but it hurts in a soft way, I think, because the effects of religious thinking, I don't think, are really seen day to day until they mount up and you get something crazy like anti-gay marriage or anti-contraception, that kind of thing. Like, I feel like generally everybody's like, yeah, go along, get along, and you're not affecting me too much. And then that kind of acceptance goes and goes, and then suddenly you're like, oh shit, where the hell did this huge issue come from? Why the fuck are we dealing with this? I don't know. So yeah, even though it can be sometimes mostly harmless, I think in the long run, religious thinking is maybe not dangerous, although it can be in the case of violent religious fanatics. But I think in the long run, it can do some damage socially. But again, I hold no one's religious beliefs against them, and I don't claim to be able to prove anything to you. I'm not trying to convince anybody. I'm not trying to persuade anybody. That's not my job, and I'm not interested in doing that anyway. I don't really care to argue religion, but somebody asked what my opinions are on it, so I gave them. Let's see, political ideology? Yeah, probably leftish, center-left. I'm of the opinion that people who need help probably need it because they actually need it. I don't think that people who need help are just slackers or loafers or anything like that. Growing up relatively poor and growing up around other poor people, there is a definite cause of that lifestyle, and it's not just laziness, and it's not just an inability to be self-reliant. Like there are I am fortunate to be where I am. I don't think that I've earned what I've got. I think it's mostly fortune, and I know this is projecting somewhat, but I think that's probably true of everyone or most people. I don't think that people who have a lot or have more than their fellows, I don't think necessarily earned it as much as they might think that they did, so much as they were fortunate with where and whom they were born to, the kinds of opportunities they were given as they were growing up. So I'm much more forgiving of people who don't have that kind of thing, because to me it doesn't seem so much that they were lazy or stupid or deserved their plight, but that they just probably didn't get the same opportunities. And while people, yes, I'm sure that there are probably people who are gaming the system, people who are lazy and are taking advantage of the welfare of the people who are caring for those of low income or who can't take care of themselves. But I don't know. I'd rather, like the justice system, right? You'd rather let a guilty man go free than have an innocent man in jail. I feel kind of the same way about taking care of others socially. I think it's more important that people who need things get them than that we punish people who are gaming the system. I don't know. I'd rather tolerate corruption to a certain extent than allow people who really need help to be, rather than allow denial of help to people who need it. I guess is what I'm saying. And then finally, the last part of your question. Since I'm American, where am I descended from? Yes, my family, both sides of my family, fathers and mothers, are majority German. My mother's family is German Catholic. They're from, I believe, originally Alsace-Lorraine, which has actually changed hands between Germany and France a few times. So there's actually some French ancestry in there too. Mostly German. And then my father's family is German Protestant, so I believe northern Germany. I think they're from, I don't know specifically where. My mom's family does know specifically that they're from Alsace-Lorraine. My dad's family, I've never heard anybody say where the family comes from, but somewhere in northern Germany. And then on my dad's side, there's supposedly some English blood in there, and on my mom's side, there is actually some Spanish blood as well. And my mom's family actually has pretty swarthy complexions generally, so maybe they're, I don't know, are there Germans with particularly dark skin? I don't know. But, yeah, my mom's side has some Spanish ancestry because they claim to anyway. But definitely a darker skin tone, more Iberian skin tone. So I could see that there. Supposedly, the Spanish ancestry in my mom's family is related to, I'm not going to say descended from, but related to the conquistador Hernando Cortez? No, not Hernando Cortez. Hernando de Soto. So, yeah, Cortez was the one who butchered the Aztecs. Yeah, sorry, I don't want to be related to that guy. Of course, I probably don't want to be related to Cortez either, but, no, I keep saying Cortez. Sorry, de Soto. But, oh, finally, I'm almost done and the weather freaking clears up. What was I going to say? Yeah, de Soto. My mom's last name, her maiden name, was Soto, S-O-T-O, and that's supposedly the original, that's shortening of the Spanish family name when they came over from wherever in Spain they lived. I don't know. But I believe the Spanish part because there's actually that really, really dark Mediterranean skin tone in my mom's family. And obviously the German goes without saying. My last name and my mom's maiden name are both heavily German. You guys don't know that, but I'm telling you that. And then the English thing on my dad's side, I don't know where the English comes in, but that's what he said, so I'll take him at his word. So that's my ancestry. No Dutch, no Irish. Those are pretty common things in the United States, but I have neither of those. No Italian, another common thing. No Jewish that we know of, although that's always possible. Germany. A lot of Jews lived in Germany. I think that answers that question, and I think that answers all of our questions. So again, a humble thank you from me to all of you for the subscriptions, likes, views. 1,000 is a huge number, much, much more than I expected to get when I first started this, especially within a year of having started my Let's Play channel. So I really thank all of you guys. I thank the LPers who have referred you viewers to me, and I thank you viewers for sticking around and encouraging me and providing me with feedback. And really, you guys are I started out doing this for me. I wanted to do it for me because I thought it would be fun, and it is. But I've ended up doing it for you guys, I think. You're the ones that I post the videos for every day. If it was just me, I probably wouldn't post a video every day still. I'd be like, screw it, I'll just post one tomorrow, who cares? But I get those videos up every day because I want you guys to be able to see it. I don't want to lose you guys. So, again, thank you very much. Oh, wow, you can see Chaden Hall all the way up there. That's kind of cool. Again, thank you very much, everyone. And one more cheers to your health. And with that, I will say to you, good night.